We believe in fostering an environment where everyone, from new hires to leadership, can thrive and visualize success. Your boss already decided your future, and you probably don't even realize when that decision was made. And because you don't see it, you assume your future is still open, still something you're working toward.
So you keep doing the same thing, working harder, staying consistent, believing effort is what will move you forward.
And early on, it feels like it's working. Small recognition, small signs that seem like progress. But at some point, a line gets drawn, quietly, without a conversation, without you even noticing. And in that moment, your role starts getting defined, not officially, but in how people begin to see you.
And from that point on, everything you do starts reinforcing that identity.
Because the more consistent you are, the more predictable you become. And predictability feels safe to the system. And what feels safe rarely gets changed, especially when everything is already working. And that's how you get locked in, not by force, but by being too reliable to move. And because of that, something starts feeling off, even though everything still looks fine on the surface.
So you respond the only way you know, by working harder, thinking that will eventually change how things unfold.
But instead, it keeps reinforcing the same pattern, the same role, the same expectations. And then you start noticing others moving forward, not doing more, just being seen differently. And that same question comes back again. What are they doing that you're not?
So you look back at everything you've done, trying to find where things went wrong.
But there's no clear answer.
How did you live there?
Because nothing obvious actually went wrong. Because the decision wasn't made based on one moment, it was built slowly, over time. Every time you stayed quiet, every time you just did the work, you were sending the same signal. And over time, that signal becomes meaning, and meaning becomes how people define you. And once that identity forms, it becomes very difficult to change, even if you start doing more. Because decisions about your future are happening somewhere else, without your input. And in those conversations, people aren't discussing effort, they're discussing perception. And if you're not visible in that perception, then nothing changes, no matter what you do. So your identity keeps getting reinforced, reliable, consistent, exactly where you already are. And the more predictable you become, the more stable you are, and the less reason there is to move you. And because everything works, there's no urgency, no pressure to change your position. And stability always wins over potential, over growth, over everything else.
And the harder you work inside that system, the tighter that invisible trap becomes.
And that's when it finally starts to click. Maybe the decision was already made, long before you realized it. And once that thought appears, it doesn't go away. It keeps expanding until everything starts to feel different. So you start looking again at people, at patterns, at how things actually move inside the system. And now it becomes clearer. They're not doing more. They're positioning themselves differently. Because while you focused on doing the work, they focused on how that work was seen.
And that's the layer you missed. the layer where decisions are actually influenced.
And that realization changes something inside you, and you stop asking why and start asking what needs to change.
So you stop doing everything automatically and begin questioning each action before you take it.
And you start small, speaking more, sharing your thoughts, letting people see what's behind your work.
And as you do that, your awareness expands. You start seeing where influence actually happens.
So instead of being everywhere, you begin showing up where it actually matters. And slowly, people begin reacting differently, even if nothing obvious has changed yet. Because perception starts shifting before your position ever does.
Oh.
And that shift creates small opportunities, subtle at first, but different from before. And when that happens, people begin considering you differently, even taking small risks on you.
And that's when your direction starts changing, not because you worked harder, but because you moved differently.
While others stay in the same loop, repeating effort, expecting different results.
And now you understand something deeper. It was never just about effort.
It was about understanding the system and how movement actually happens inside it. And once you understand that, control starts coming back, slowly but clearly. And as you change, the system responds differently, even if nothing obvious has changed yet. Because now you're aligned with how the system actually works, not how you thought it worked.
And that clarity changes everything, even before your situation does.
And what comes next is harder to accept because it changes how you see everything.
Because once you see it, you start seeing it everywhere, not just in your own situation. People doing the same thing, working harder, but never actually moving. And that's where the real truth starts to appear.
And once you see that clearly, it's not just about you, it's happening everywhere around you.
People working harder, staying consistent, doing everything right, but never actually moving forward. And the scariest part, it looks like progress, but it isn't. And it's just repetition that feels productive. You feel comfortable, stable, even respected, but completely stuck without realizing it. And time keeps moving faster than you expect, while nothing about your position actually changes. And for most people, that realization comes late, much later than they ever imagined. And when they finally look back, they see years of effort, but not the progress they thought they were building. Not because they failed, but because they were moving in the wrong direction the entire time.
And that realization doesn't feel motivating. It feels heavy, uncomfortable, and impossible to ignore.
Because it's not your fault. You followed what you were taught, and it made sense at the time. But the system was never designed to reward effort the way you believed it would.
It rewards perception, positioning, timing, and the story people believe about you.
And once you understand that, you can't ignore it anymore, even if part of you wants to.
Because now you see the system clearly, not the version you believed in before. And that leaves you with a choice. Keep playing the same way, or change how you move completely.
You can keep working harder, hoping something changes, even though nothing ever has.
Or you can start moving differently, understanding what actually creates progress inside the system.
And awareness alone changes more than years of effort without direction.
Because once you see it, you begin moving differently, even before you consciously try.
And slowly, the system starts responding differently, even if nothing obvious has changed yet.
Because now you're aligned with how the system actually works, not how you thought it worked.
And that clarity changes everything, even before your situation actually does.
It was never about how hard you worked. It was about how you were seen.
And once you see that, everything about your past effort looks completely different.
And the hardest truth to accept is what comes next.
You're not where you are, Sal and Dozmans, because you're not good enough.
Reflecting on the past year, it's clear that our growth is intrinsically linked to the growth of our people.
You're where you are because that's where they decided you belong.
And most people never realize when that decision was made.
Until it's already too late.